This is a $50 retro gaming handheld. It's capable of playing classics from Nintendo, PlayStation, Sega, and the arcade, but that's not its purpose for today. I turned it into a dedicated music player. It might be the best $50 I've ever spent. You see, I've been on my audio journey for a while now. My first real pair of headphones were the Sony WH-1000XM4 studio monitors. I use Cali reference monitors for home editing. I've been testing IEMs, Bluetooth headphones, wired headphones, digital audio players, you name it. And through all of that, one thing kept bugging me. Using my phone for music kind of sucks. And I don't mean the sound quality, I mean everything around it. You pull out your phone to skip a track and suddenly you're checking notifications. Then you're responding to that message, opening that social media notification, and next you're doom scrolling. 10 minutes go by and you forgot what you were doing beforehand. And that's not all, there's also the cost. Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, $10, $11, $15 a month. That's over $100 a year to rent music you don't even own. Music that disappears the moment you cancel your subscription. And I know what some of you are thinking, just buy a DAP. For those that don't know, DAP stands for Digital Audio Player. But a decent one starts at $80, $100, and they only do one thing, play music. My first idea was to buy a used iPod with the intention of modifying it to include modern features like Bluetooth and increased storage. However, a used one alone costs over $100, and that price doesn't even count the cost of adding the modern modifications. So I thought, what if I could take a device I already own, one that fits in my pocket, has real physical buttons, a headphone jack, expandable storage, and Bluetooth. And could I turn it into a dedicated music player? This is the Anbernic RG35XX Plus. It's a retro gaming handheld. Think of it like a Game Boy that plays everything. But what makes it interesting for music is the hardware. It's got a 3.5 IPS screen, a 3.5mm headphone jack, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 4.2, a 3300 mAh battery. That's 8 hours of gaming and potentially more for just audio. It takes 2 micro SD cards so you can have up to a terabyte of storage, and it runs on Linux, which means the software side is wide open. It's not going to compete with an actual digital audio player, but for everyday listening with regular headphones or IEMs, it sounds perfectly fine. And for roughly $50, what it can do is kind of ridiculous. So the software that makes all of this possible is called Rockbox. And if you've never heard of it, that's because this project has been flying under the radar for over 2 decades. Rockbox started in 2001. 3 Swedish engineers were frustrated with the limited firmware on their MP3 players. So they did what engineers do. They reverse engineered it and wrote their own code from scratch. A developer called Incognito Man ported Rockbox to run on retro gaming handhelds through something called Portmaster. Rockbox is not replacing your handheld's operating system. It's running as an application. Your games, your emulators, everything else, it all stays exactly where it is. You're just adding a world-class music player on top of it. So you end up with 2 devices in one, a retro gaming machine and a legitimate music player. Let me show you how to set this up. So I'm going to walk you through this step by step, and it's easier than you might think. The process can be different depending on your device and operating system, but the core concepts are often very similar. So let me know in the comments what your device and operating system is if you're trying this, and I'll do my best to answer any questions that you might have. First, you're going to need a custom firmware, which I have newly here on this RG35XX Plus. It's my recommendation because I believe I can get it to work with these Bluetooth headphones here. So we're going to try to set that up eventually, but once you have this set up, you're going to want to go to Portmaster. Here on this emulation station front end, it's under Ports and Portmaster. From here, it's going to load into the program. I'm going to download an update here, so give it some time. If your custom firmware doesn't have this, you'll be able to install it manually. But once you're in Portmaster, you're going to want to go down to Ready to Run Ports. And there's a giant list of them here. We're going to go to Rockbox and download it. Here's Rockbox. Gonna go ahead and install that. Shouldn't take too long. And once we exit the program, you will see that it's actually installed in our ports itself. So we'll go ahead and open that. Here I have a Snow Sky disc, which I do have an SD card with music on it already. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to this. Now before we get into the music, let me show you one step that trips up everyone, and I mean everyone. I hit this wall myself. So here's what happened to me. I loaded up Rockbox for the first time. I put my music on the SD card, opened the database, and there's nothing there. As you can see. So what you're going to have to actually do is set this up to read your database properly. Rockbox's database scanner doesn't know where your music lives by default on these handhelds, so you're going to have to go into one of your two partitions, whether that's on your original SD or your added one like I have here. Go into the database menu. Actually, you're going to want to go to Settings, General, Database. From here, we're going to select our directories to scan. So on this SD card, I have it set up under Media. The first press shows a plus icon, which means include this folder. You want to press it again until you see a play arrow, which means scan this folder. So we're going to go to Music and then hit the plus button, the play button here. This tells Rockbox to look here and only here. Back out of the menu. Do you want to save changes? Yes. Do you want to initialize? Yes. Yes. Updating in the background. Give it a minute to scan. This can take longer if you have more music, but now we can go back to our main menu. Go to Database. Please reboot to enable. Guess we're going to have to do that, so we're going to reboot our device here. We're going to go to Quit, Restart System. We'll restart that. So now that we're back in, we're going to go back to Ports, Rockbox. So you can see here we have music in here. I might get hit with copyright on some of these, so we might not play them, but we'll go to one song. And it is playing music. So now that the music is loaded, you can actually listen to it. I'm going to give these a test with these in-ear monitors here because Kiwi Ears sent me two versions. They sent me their Bells, and then these are the K4s, which offer a better premium sound, which I would recommend using a high-quality music source if I were you. It's not really going to blow you away like a dedicated DAB, but it does sound like a legitimate music player. This timeout is a little annoying, so I might try to change that. But Rockbox really is a great machine. It basically gives you full functionality out of any other music player, potentially even better than this Snow Sky disc here. But a lot of the features that they do include in dedicated DABs, this can provide and more, which is amazing for a device like this where you can have your original gaming on with your music player. But it really shines with like the EQ features, and they're not really like your phone's rock or pop presets. It's a full parametric 10-band equalizer that can allow you to adjust the music to your listening preference. They've also got gapless playback, so you can listen to an album the way that they were intended to be heard. Alright, I want to show you how to get different themes as well. Under Rockbox themes, if you go to the iPod Classic 6G, you can see that they have many different files on here, and you can sort them any way that you want, but kind of like more of these regular designs. So if you go ahead and download any of these, it'll open up a downloads file here, and it names them a specific file. But inside these files, you'll have everything that you need for your device. So if you put your SD card in on your computer, find out where they have those ports saved. On this SD card, it's under ROMs, ports, Rockbox. So all of these files here, I will just go ahead and copy. over to my Rockbox folder, and I'll put them in there. You'll want to merge them with the files that are already in place so you don't overwrite anything. And then you can go ahead and remove your drive. And then you're going to want to plug that back into your device. It's pretty straightforward. Once we got our themes in the folder, go back into Rockbox, Settings, Theme Settings, Browse Theme Files. Here we have iClassic Square. So now that you can see that we have a classic iPod theme set up. And that's how you change this. It's pretty straightforward. Feel free to experiment and find what you like.